Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're going to have a look at this PRS single cut. This is from year 2000. I've already done a demo for this guitar and you can hopefully see that just here. Now what's happened is the volume pot has completely shot it. I've made a decision to swap out these pickups, much like my other single cut, and fit a set of bootcamp humbuckers. Now this guitar I've opted for the old guard range. My other one has got true grits, which are a little bit harder, but the old guard I think are based on the mule, which are like my favourite pickups ever. But the bootcamp are made by the same talented builders at Bare Knuckle, but they have less options, which means that they can produce them quicker and reduce the cost. Don't be fooled by the cheaper price. They're still fantastic quality and they've still got that Bare Knuckle signature sound, that signature mid-range. Well, I think they have anyway. I've got a set of those to go in, and I've got some new pots, some new CTS pots, capacitors, which I got from, I think the website is called James's Home of Tone. Highly recommended, really good service. And the tone pots I've got push-pulls. So here's a short clip of what this guitar sounded like before with the PRS stock number 7 pickups. I'm not a huge fan of these pickups, if I'm 100% honest with you, so I'm glad I'm doing this. So here we go, have a quick listen. Right, let's make a start. Now, I'm not a trained professional, guitar wiring, soldering or anything like that, so bear with me. I'm going to do my absolute best to get this looking as tidy as I can. Hopefully there's not too many mishaps. I know there's plenty of fantastic tutorial videos online from highly skilled guitar technicians and guitar pickup manufacturers and things like that. I suppose I wanted to just share my experience, how I interpret the drawings, what it's like for a normal person to have a go at fixing and hopefully improving the guitar. I'm going to set up the workbench and I'll run you through all the components that I've got and the tools that I'm using. I'm still very much an apprentice at wiring, and if you see there's anything that I could be doing better, please feel free to comment in the comment section, because I'm keen to learn and improve. I think the best way to learn is just have a go yourself and hopefully not make too many mistakes along the way. So I just want to share my experience with you. Okay, so here we go. Here we are. Quick tooling list. Now, you can go out and spend an absolute fortune on the greatest tools in the world and they will help make the job easier. But if you're just starting out, the cost of fitting your own pickups and doing modifications soon becomes very expensive. Now, I've gradually been upgrading certain tools as I've been going along. I just wanted to demonstrate that you can get the job done using this sort of minimum standard of tooling. The place to start is to get a half decent soldering iron. So this is 40 watts, it's from Draper with replaceable tips. I've just cleaned this actually, just give a bit of a... it's got an adjustable control on it as well, which can be quite useful. Now, this tool here is like a solder extractor. You preload it, heat up the joint, place it close to the actual molten solder, and then extract, and it helps clean the joint. Neck support from Planet Waves. There's loads of different variations of these. Standard wire cutters, and I've got some long nose pliers here. Now these are a bit, I did have some smaller, thinner ones, so hopefully I don't have too much trouble. I think probably getting some smaller ones would be recommended, but I just can't find them at the moment. Little screwdriver for the, sorry, I keep positioning it out of the camera like an idiot. We've got some flux. I've got a few different kinds of solder here. We've got some contact cleaner. This is worth getting no matter what, whether you want to do your own modifications or not. Before you start replacing any kind of pots or switches or anything like that, get some contact cleaner and spray those components, because you might find it's just a little bit of dust or dirt that's got in between the contacts, and as soon as you clean it with it, this stuff is remarkable. The amount of times I thought I needed to change a pot and I really didn't need to. Sprayed it with this, back up and running. So, and also, if you notice that when you're using your volume control or switching pickups and things and you get that kind of crackling sound, use some of this and you'll get rid of that straight away. I don't need to explain this. removing the pots with the ratchet and socket. Now this is a neat trick for removing controls off guitars. You'll need some sandpaper for cleaning all the contacts of the new components. So this is the wiring diagram that I'm going to be using to install the pickups. I'll show you all the components in a moment. So I created a sort of a dummy cavity with where the volume and tone controls are going to sit in the guitar. I used this on my other single cut and it was very, very useful. You can mount the pots in there, get everything kind of pre-wired as far as you can, and then load it into the guitar. Lint-free cloth. Right, so that's the tools for all the electronic side of everything. There's a few additional tools that I want to quickly show you for when we come to set up the guitar. A string action ruler for setting the string high and the pickup high. Capo for the first fret. Truss rod key. This is a proper PRS one anyway, so I'd recommend getting some lubricant for wherever the string comes in contact with, whether it be the bridge or the nut. I've always found that applying a little bit of lubrication helps with when you're doing bends and things like that. The string returns to where it originally was a lot easier. So that means that the tuning stability of the guitar is a lot better in my opinion. I haven't got locking tuners on this guitar and I'm doing it the old fashioned way with the Cluson style tuners on this guitar, so lots of winding and set of feeler gauges for helping set the truss rod. Right. Let me show you what components I'm going to be fitting next and then we'll start dismantling the guitar. Right then, let's talk about these beauties. This is a Boot Camp, Boot Camp Old Guard bridge. B stands for bridge. These are 4 conductor cables, meaning we can actually split this humbucker into what we call a single core kind of sound. Big thanks to Tim from Bare Knuckle for, he sent me this pickup some years back now and I've used it extensively and it's time to put it in this guitar. I recently ordered, so this is brand new. This is they've both got nickel covers by the way. Oh look, you can get a nice little plectrum. Home your tone. Yes please. So this is the neck position. Old Guard neck. Now these are the lowest output pickups that they do in the Boot Camp range. I can't wait to get these fitted. Now we've got a couple of capacitors. These are 22s. Now these are going to be positioned between the tone control and the volume control of each guitar. They'll bridge across from one to the other. We'll have a look at the drawing in a moment. So we've got a couple of those. We've got the actual grounding cable, which we're going to ground everything with. I've seen a trick online that somebody uses a lighter. So basically you put this shrink wrap over any exposed material, heat it up and it covers it up. So I'm thinking of trying that this time, but I haven't got a lighter. I didn't do it on my other guitar and I've had no problems. So this time, based on experience from my other single cut, I found that the maple cap on the top of the PRS guitar is quite thick, and I used the standard short shaft ones and it was a little bit of a squeeze. So these are actually longer than I expected. But if you opt for the longer shaft, basically you stand a chance of actually being able to get the nut on the end on the other side of the guitar and get the volume control on. So that's why all these look really tall, because I've opted for that this time. So I've got 2 CTS 500k volume pots, just standard stuff, and I like the I don't know what they call this. It's got like an exposed end on it. Now, whenever I see these pots with this particular feature, I'll show you close up. Where is the camera? The movement of the shaft is very, very smooth on these, and I just always associate it with this kind of layout. You do get some where they're completely flat, and they don't seem to have a smoother control on them, so I really like these ones. And we've got some CTS push-pull tone pots. This is going to take some figuring out, but I did it previously on my other guitar, and you kind of load the cables through the back. This base plate acts as a way of mounting these components in position, the way that they will sit in the guitar, and it means that I can solder in all of these components into position, ground everything, and then when everything's ready, it's like having a wiring loom, and load it straight in and then put the pickups once it's in the guitar. That's all the components. Next up, we'll start stripping down the guitar and get rid of the old gear. Let's start by taking the strings off. I'll quickly flick through this. You should be able to take strings off. I am going to do a video for beginners, how to set up guitars at some point. But top tip, these kind of bridges in particular, whenever you take the tension off the strings completely, this bridge will completely fall off. And even though I'm not particularly precious about the finish on this guitar, it's very, very hard finish. It's very thick actually. You don't want this to mark, you know, your prized possession. So yeah, just kind of wedge a cloth in there and it will stop it falling off, and if it does, it'll land on there and not mark anything. Teaspoon trick. I can't play the spoons. Basically, just lightly press on the underside, pops off the controls nicely. There's no need to apply too much pressure at all. You can just work your way around as well, take them off nice and gently. Now, I'm not too concerned about the finish on this guitar because this guitar is particularly battered anyway, but if you're doing this on a very fancy guitar, then I'd recommend probably putting a cloth underneath, and popped off nice and easy. And same with this one. Job done. Right, let's turn it over. Here we've got the control cavity on this Paul Reed Smith. I'm going to take these 4 screws out and we're going to admire the horrendous soldering, partly me, partly whoever else has messed around with these pickups at some point. Right, so that's not the greatest wiring in the world, so I'm hoping that the components I put in look a bit tidier. Yeah, next steps, we need to undo the pickup wire. So this is the bridge, and we've got the neck here. This is the neck volume and tone, and this is the bridge volume and tone. So once the pickups, these cables are out of the way, we'll undo the ground, so wherever it's connected to the actual top of a potentiometer, that acts as the ground. You'll notice that these are braided, like the old 50s kind of original braided wires. It means that the pickups cannot be split. You can't do a split coil kind of thing. The ones that we're installing are actually 4 conductor, meaning we can split them with the tone controls. So what I'm going to do here is just heat up this joint here. That's plopped off. Let's take this one off. So this is the neck humbucker. Piece of cake. There we go. So that's disconnected. So that is the neck pickup disconnected. So we can do the same. Probably heat up some of this actually and extract it with the... I'm determined to use this solder extractor. Oh, that worked. Same as I've said before, this is, you know, I'm still learning. I want to show my learning curve, because hopefully it will help give you the courage to do this yourself. There we go. So what I'm going to do is actually turn the guitar over at this point and get these cables out of the way so we can see what we're working with. just to show you the way that these are held in place, we've got these tabs on the humbuckers here. Screw goes through this pickup surround, through the spring, into this taps hole, and then this is what adjusts the height of the pickup in the pickup surround. What we'll do is we'll swap these over later on in the video for the bare knuckle pickups that we're installing. So let's get back to undoing all of the pots on the other side. I'll turn the guitar over. So what we're going to do now is disconnect this. I don't know why that's actually joined at multiple places here, but it looks like the actual jack input is earthed at 2 points, which as far as I'm led to believe that you don't really need to do that. Let's have a look here. That's that cable disconnected. Ooh, that was hot. So this should actually be the pickup selector, I believe. This little cable here, this is very important, don't break this, because this is the earth for that sits underneath the bridge pin, underneath your bridge. There we go. That's very important, that. I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the cable that was connected to the bridge. Right, I'm going to try and take these pots out now from the other side. I'm going to turn over the guitar. To loosen all these pots off, what I'm doing is just applying a little bit of pressure from behind to stop the pots from spinning around inside. It's not a huge deal because all these are being replaced. And there is all the pots. We'll save all these parts. In particular, these. Let's just pretend I didn't drop that. These act as really good grips and stop the pot spinning on from the cavity side. So basically, that's what everything looks like on the inside. The guitar is prepped. Next, we need to prep all of the new controls on the control board that I showed you earlier. So I'm just going to go and revise and check that I understand the drawing. I'm going to also check the other guitar that I did that actually works, so I know it works. And we'll be back soon. We're ready to start reassembling. First thing we need to do is make sure that all of the components that are going to be bonded joint with solder have been cleaned with a little bit of sandpaper. So what we're going to do, we'll start with the bridge tone. I'm just going to lightly rub these where we're going to be coming into contact. I suspect I'll be joining on this side as well. So let's clean that up nicely. And we're going to do the same with all the other components as well. The only thing that's a little bit different with these ones is we're probably going to be soldering at different points on here. So I'll probably do, 3 little patches here maybe a couple on the side. So I'll do that now, and then I'll fast forward the video so you don't have to watch this painstaking part. The next thing I'm going to do is prime these pots with a little bit of solder for the points where I'm going to be joining. Now on the tone pots, we've got to connect everything with, I've got this cloth wire. So basically anything that is metallic needs to be grounded to the jack socket. Once one component is grounded, you don't necessarily have to ground it again with any other component, but it's best to kind of prep the components with a little bit of solder so you're not overheating the components all at once. Now I'm not claiming to be the best at soldering, but I've got the soldering iron up to temperature, cleaned it with a little bit of flux, got some solder ready, and what we're going to do is just heat up the components. So this is where I could do with a little bit of a holder to kind of hold everything in place. So what I'm doing is just a little spot of solder. See that on there? I might have to add some more, who knows. I'm going to do the same on the other side, because I think, if my memory serves me correctly, I had to do the same with the grounding wire on the other side of this pot. So I'll just prep that a little bit. There we go. All prepped. Right, I think the first thing we're going to do, now we've kind of prepped and got a little bit of solder in places that we think we're going to connect our wires, I am going to then back terminal 1 on these volume controls. So this is going to be the same for both of them. So what we're going to do, this is going to act, terminal 1 acts as a ground. So what we're going to do is bend this back. You can either use pliers or you can use your hands for this. And the idea is that this terminal comes into contact with the actual casing. So don't panic. We were supposed to bend it. I remember the first time I did this, I thought, what? I'm bending it. Just jump with the casing. I'm going to do the same for the other one. What we need to do now is prep the tone pot. So obviously we've got this push-pull ability. Now try not to be too overwhelmed. If you want to just set up if we're going for this configuration, this like Les Paul kind of 2 tones 2 volumes kind of setup, we only need to concentrate on these 2 terminals. So C1, this is where your pickup will connect. I mean, on these pickups it's green and white, so that connects there from the rear, and we want terminal 1 to act as a ground. So we want this terminal 1 here to connect to this terminal 1 kind of like grommet, let's call it, and then to mount to the actual case itself. And we can see that on the drawing just just here. We've got the terminal 1, as you can see, and that's connecting to the, let's call it a grommet, and then it's going around and touching to the outside of the case, and that's the same on both of these. So that's the best thing to do with these kind of drawings, is just break them down into little pieces, and it's quite overwhelming at first, I find, but if you just concentrate on a little thing at a time. We've already done this ground here, look, that's what we did on the volume pot, just there. I mean, I'm sure someone in the comment section will comment on how much shoulder I'm using. Am I using too much? I don't know. It looks relatively clean, I guess. Let's approach this. So what we're going to do is use this, I like this cloth cable, and what you need to do, the cool thing about this cloth cable is the cloth sheath simply draws back out of the way. So what we're going to try and do is come at this, hopefully there's not too many innuendos in this, so yeah. We're coming at this grommet from the rear side here, and what we're going to do is bend that round. That's come through. We're going to bend up this ground 1 tab. We're going to bend that up until it's sort of in line. It's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and then as you can see, it's in contact with the ground terminal 1 and this grommet, and then what we'll do afterwards is trim it to position and mount it so you can barely even see it's there. So let's try and do that now. So that's that done, and then what I'm going to do is just trim this wire . There we go. It's a nice clean joint. What I'm going to do is the same on the other one. That's that. So what we're doing here, here's one I prepared earlier. I've not soldered this just yet, but we need to connect the capacitor between the volume pot and the tone pot for both the bridge in this case and the neck. So that's why it's a good idea to kind of do a template like this, because you need to know the space. This can be a little bit of trial and error, I've found. I mean, if you're a professional, you'd probably make this really look really easy. What I've also got is some like protective shrink wrap stuff that we'll put on the exposed areas. I didn't do this on the last guitar, but I thought I'd try it this time. So I'll show you a little trick. I have preloaded where I want this to go, and what we've got on the drawing here, the capacitor is on terminal 3 and it's going to go to terminal 2 on the tone pot. Obviously when these are in the guitar, we've got plenty of movement. We can kind of twist them and put them into position where we want them to go, but let's just get this first terminal kind of locked in. I've already cut a piece of protective sheath. Let's see how this goes. So that end is all good. What we're going to do is snip off this part of the capacitor. Don't need that anymore. And then what we can do is we're going to do the same with the other side. Like roughly measure where we want to cut this to. Maybe there. Because I haven't got a heat gun and some trusty matches, Now this is sitting quite a bit higher than the actual components, but what I'm going to do once it's in the guitar, I want to allow enough distance just in case I am a little bit off with the actual template. We just want to be careful how much we manipulate this, and so we don't want to, make it brittle. So what I'm going to do now is press on with the next one.
Why are you so insensitive? You're blinded by...
So we've started to look a little bit like the drawing here. The really important thing that we need to do now, we're going to ground this circuit. Everything needs to be connected to that input jack, like I said before. It's going to stop, the really annoying buzzing sound. Normally when your guitar is buzzing, there's some sort of grounding issue somewhere in the circuit. I'm going to solder this tone pot, so the neck tone to the neck volume, then the neck volume to the bridge volume, and I'm going to finish by doing the bridge volume to the bridge tone. What I found last time, which worked really well, is instead of soldering things to the top of the pot, I'm going to keep them soldered to the side. I'm going to cut them to length. It keeps them out of the way, and then we've got free space to solder the bridge and the pickups and the pickup selector grounds as well. I'm going to turn this around and do the same between these two pots.
I'm sinking slowly to the deep, not knowing what lies beneath. I hear a song, there's no escape. Amongst the waves, we resonate. Whenever she swims close to me, I'm drowning in a mystery. Pulling me under. These stars towards the words are short. We dance towards the ocean floor. Pulling me under. Yeah.
This is the part that's going to be a little bit fiddly. This was my choice, and hopefully this works out. I opted for the longer shaft because of I had trouble with the clearance on the short shaft one, so I'm hoping this makes it a little bit easier for me. I'm assuming we use the first nut to set the height for inside, and then we use this kind of grip washer underneath that, push it through the guitar body, and then we'll have a washer and a nut on the other side, and we'll tighten that up into position. I think the thing that's going to take a little while to sort is where to set this setting nut. I'll probably just end up fast forwarding this part until I've got the actual positioning correct. So if you remember, this cable here is connected to the jack, so this is what everything's going to be ground from. This is going up to where the pickup selector is, and then from that we've got these two cables that come down, and these act as being able to choose which pickup you're using. So if you remember from earlier on in the video, I marked this one up with black so that I know that this one is going to be going onto the bridge volume pot. We have to ground them, and I'll probably have to trim these because these are super long. So I'll start loading it in. We'll see where we get to. So we know that these are the volume pots, these are the tone pots.
It's hard to remember a life before you were a part of the family tree. You crawled, you walked, and now you run. And through those eyes, the world I see. Choose your path, don't forget.
I'm happy with that.
No regrets. Use your voice.
That can go down a little bit more.
If no regrets. You walk control the oceans. Just learn to ride the waves. Don't hide from your emotions. 'Cause love will help you ride the way. Dive into the moment. Try not to focus on what's to come. Face your fears, no regrets.
So this one is going to go to this pot, this one's going to go to this pot. It's got one more pot to sort here.
No regrets. No regrets. I've been thinking of who you become, and all I know I will share with you. Spread those wings to chance.
So I'm holding the pot from the underside to make sure that they're not spinning.
Choose your path, but don't forget, let love live.
Let's get this bridge wire soldered in place, nice and secure. So important. I think I'm going to solder that there, in that position.
You walk control the oceans, just learn to ride the waves.
That has ground the bridge, because that is mounted underneath. Let me just show you. Underneath one of these. And then in turn, once the actual bridge piece goes on, that's in contact, then the strings are in contact, so everything will be earthed from that end. So what we need to do now is make sure that the input jack is soldered too. I'm going to do that now. I've just caught the capacitor, which is annoying. So what I'm going to do now, because I don't want all of this cable, I'm going to commit to joining this cable to here. This is going to help us switch pickups. Let's put some solder into this eyelet.
You walk control the ocean.
Then this goes into terminal 2. There we go, that's nice and tidy. And we need to do the same with this one. Pretty tidy. Right, that's everything. Now we are ready for pickup install. This is probably, well, should be the easiest part. Installing pickup rings. So these pickup rings are slightly different, as you can see. We've got a thick one, this is the bridge one. Plus I know this is bridge because it's got treble.
Do you think you got what it takes to negotiate? No room to prevent the pain. There can't be reconciliation. You can only alleviate. Are you prepared?
Done. Next.
No respect, just a lack of concern. You hide behind your institution, and your eyes we wait to burn. You cut up your own nose just to spite your face. Surprised to admit you're wrong is such a waste of space. Yeah. Do you truly believe in this eluded path you forge? Russian roulette with all of our lives. You teach, you lie, you smile, we cry, we play a game, no end inside. Where is your focus? What do you hope to achieve? It's empty.
So when we're talking about bare knuckle pickups, if you're doing split coil, the green and white are kept together and they connect to the tone pot on, let me check what terminal it is, C1, so that needs to go in there. I might have to actually take this pot back out a little bit to be able to get access. This is the ground, the bare and the black, and the red is the live. So the live needs to connect to terminal 3, which is on the same one as the capacitor. It's exactly the same for each pickup. Ideally you could do with like trimming these down as short as you can to make them look super tidy, but I'm going to leave them long enough so that if I decide to swap them into a different guitar at some point, I've got enough wire still. That's the reason why these cables might look a little bit longer than you might like. I might be able to get away with it actually. So that one's got to go there, that's terminal. Yeah, we might be okay. Let's put it into fast forward. Undo the pot.
Your clothes, mannered words are based on fact. Certain in your arrogance, ready to attack. Ready to attack.
Ground just here.
You cut up your own nose just to spite your face. Surprised to admit you're wrong is such a waste of space. We fall by the wayside, watch you on the rise. Nation bound my turmoil should be no surprise.
Done. Everything's wired up nicely. I've tightened up the pots. Everything functions properly. Plugged the guitar in. We're just going to test the pickups now to see if they're making a sound before putting the strings on, just in case I've done anything wrong. So this is the bridge. So tone off, tone on, nice and bright. Split coil sounds thin as well, which is good, so that's working the way we should. Let's go to the neck pickup. like that's working. Yeah, that's gone brighter. And the split coil works as well. Let's try the centre position. And the splits work as well. Yes, result. I absolutely love these type of controls, but there is a slight downside. They tend to crack, as you can see this one here. So I'm gonna have to order replacement. So all the pots feel really nice. Let's try it again. Time to put the back plate back on. I'm happy with everything in here. Now you might notice this little line here. When I first got this guitar back, I was a little bit worried that the maple cap was cracked. The first thing I did was take the toggle switch cover off the back and check from the inside to see if it had propagated through, and it's not. It's just a cosmetic surface finish inline crack, so that was good news. Now, I've opted for 10 to 46. I'm going to tune this to standard. I generally tune all my guitars to standard. I took some measurements before taking this bridge off, which is kind of a useful tip. It will save you a lot of work in the long run. It kind of roughly set that where it was when it came off. Apply some lubricant in here. Right, we're finally all set up, everything's wired up, the guitar's set up. I've adjusted the pickups to the bare knuckle recommended specs, around about 2.4 on the bass side, although I have set the neck pickup a little bit lower, to 1.6 on the treble side. But I always tend to set the neck a little bit lower just because I want less output out of that pickup. So let's hear some tones.
you.